Hello, everybody. Welcome to an afternoon stream. Today is Black Friday here in the US, and I'm sure that filters out to other places in the world as far as some sales and things. So, uh, today I wanted to talk about starting a home lab in 2025, right? Probably most of the people that are going to filter into this video at some point, either live or after the fact, will probably know some of this information, but it's always good to cover it again and give some updates on things that might influence your decision making. So, let's say hi to everybody in chat. We've got Grish here, of course, because he's first to every live stream practically ever. Catherine, welcome in. Yes, it does. We have it too in Colombia. Nice. All right. So, there have been a couple of interesting developments lately. And let me open up a new window on the other screen, and then we'll share the other screen, and we'll talk through a few of these things. This one. All right, let's throw me up in the corner. And excuse me for just a moment. I do love the mute button on the Rodecaster Duo. I have to say, it's a whole lot easier than trying to click the button on screen in StreamYard, but that's a whole other discussion, I suppose. Okay, so as everybody around here knows, I am a virtualization junkie, and there have been a couple of new releases on from Proxmox. They now have both Proxmox Virtual Environment 8.3 out, but they have also released, I believe yesterday, the Proxmox Backup Server 3.3, which we might just go ahead and upgrade my backup server while we're live today, but that's for a little bit later in the stream. So the other piece of the puzzle here is XCPNG. Now, I used XCPNG way back, probably 5 or more years ago, and I returned to Proxmox because at the time, XCPNG did not have a built-in web interface. You either had to purchase Zen Orchestra or you had to build it from source and keep your administration VM updated with the latest version. I decided that was kind of a pain in the rear and went back to Proxmox. Now, the cool thing is the latest version of XCPNG includes what they call Zen Orchestra Lite. This is still a work in progress, but if you are doing just a single server, it is built into the XCPNG distribution starting with version 8.3. And again, it's for single server deployments, right? So you're not going to have the ability to log into one and manage all of your XCPNG servers. Now, currently, the way I'm using Proxmox is relatively standalone. I've got 3 servers They're not joined in a cluster. They do all have a local web interface available to them. But in for all intents and purposes, they operate pretty similarly between Proxmox and the Zen Orchestra Lite. Yes, you are going to have a few more options in Proxmox compared to the Lite version of Zen Orchestra, but um, this was the point in time that I've been waiting for to retest XCP-NG and Zen Orchestra. So you might see a video here in the coming weeks that details my experience with XCP-NG and Zen Orchestra Lite specifically, and you know how it compares to what I've been doing over the last several years with Proxmox. So I think this could be interesting either for a live stream, for a standalone video, maybe the installation part and setting up a couple of VMs will happen in a video, and then one of the live streams will be more of a head-to-head comparison, right? So yeah, let me bring myself back on. Let me see if I can load up something else I wanted to show off. Um, um, okay, let me bring that back on. Just I do believe I need to redo this thumbnail for this class, but um, I'm in the early stages of doing an enhancement to the Linux course. Launched this in June. Had a couple people sign up. I got some feedback. So I'm in the early stages of doing some enhancements. I've got some new resources I want to add. I've got some videos partially scripted that will get, or outlined rather. I don't really do scripts. Partially outlined that will get you or add additional information, right? I'm getting a little tongue tied. So the original price on the course was $99. I, like so many other people, am running a sale. So if you come to the website, which I'll drop in the chat in a little bit, but if you come to the website and you enter in Black Friday 2024, it's going to do I have to have that in all caps? Okay, so it's going to take $60 off the price, or and 61% off the price. So this is a pay once, access as long as it's online type of course. And for anybody that does purchase before I launch additional courses, the first group of people that purchase will get the next course at no cost. So just trying to add a little bit more value into this and to give a little incentive to purchase now and see what happens, right? Right now, entire course that I've got, the existing version is just over 2 hours of videos. Um, Part of what I'm in the works on adding is some quizzes, as well as some additional material, uh, and let's see. Most recently, I added part two of the shell scripting section. So, for whatever reason, when I published the course, I had that recorded. I just had failed to make it live. Uh, so it is live now. Um, but anyways, we'll go back here. So again, here's the website for the course, and Black Friday 2024. And I've got this coupon set to expire on Tuesday, and I think I've got it set for 50 coupons being valid. So I can't imagine that I'm going to sell that many copies of the course, even at the reduced price. But I think doing this was a great way to dip my toe into creating courses again. And it had been a little while, so this one is not quite as polished as I would have liked. I'm going to be doing things a little different in the next course. I've also got a different way of doing video storage now. So that was one of the few things I took advantage of for a Black Friday deal. And I got a video hosting platform that will allow me, if I want to replace a video, unlike YouTube, I can upload a replacement video and it will maintain the same link wherever it has been used, right? So, excuse me. Yeah, I guess that's a good place to take a break and see what else we've got going on in chat. I'm the first that liked the video before it was even live. Thank you for that. Indiana cornbread nerd. How do from Missouri today. Nice. Welcome in. Can't stay, just wanted to pop in and say hi and thumbs up. Thank you, Terrell. I appreciate it. Just today, I upgraded VMware Workstation Pro since it threw hypervisor blue screens. Always a sure sign it wants to be updated. Yep. And now it's free for personal or commercial use, which is always a great thing. I've pretty much I'd given up on VMware products. I did download the new version of Pro at my day job just to play with that on one machine. Whether or not I put it on other machines remains to be seen. I haven't decided on that yet. So, all right. So, home labs. I've been giving some thought to this week based on a number of factors, right? So, I did see a video that kind of gave me a little bit of inspiration. to be thinking about this in a different way. And I've also been training a new person at my day job, very young, very inexperienced, but uh, confident, maybe overconfident at the same time. And so part of my approach to training this person has been to um, not so much make assumptions about things that he knows or should know if he wants to work in IT, but to um, treat it like a mentoring type of situation, where uh, part of part of the approach is dusting off my teaching skills, that uh, since I did spend 5 years teaching IT courses, generally to people that had a little bit more experience than this, but I had a few come through my classroom when I was teaching that were pretty green, shall we say? They were pretty fresh to the whole concept of doing more than just being an end user, right? So this past week, and granted, well, this week, granted, it was just a short work week. So the my assistant, he was unable to come in on Monday, and it was a family emergency type situation. So it's like, all right, well, um, we'll work past this, right? Um, Tuesday, he was doing some grunt work and kind of some catch up work that he would have done on Monday, but Wednesday I tried to make it a little more interesting, and this does come full circle and relate to the home lab topic. Just give me a few moments. I'm on my way there. So he had never worked with a router, even a home router before. So um, Tuesday after work, I fished out a router that I had sitting around as a Netgear. I think it was the R7000 or some such thing. It's got three Wi-Fi antennas. It does 2.4 and 5 gigahertz. Um, and it was one of those that was sold as a quote unquote gaming router, which is all marketing BS. Um, so what I had him do is gave him a paper clip. He reset the router. So we were starting from scratch. It's not connected to the network at my day job. It's just a standalone unit at this point. He reset the password. Um, he did not understand, and this is something I will have to address going forward. But he did not understand that he looked up the instruction manual for the router, and it said to access it at some URL that Netgear provided. And of course, since it wasn't connected to the internet, it wasn't going to load that URL. So I explained to him a little bit, just scratching the surface, about IP addresses and how most consumer level routers are either going to be 192.168.0.1, 1.1, 2.1, or uh, those same ranges but ending in 254. Almost all the routers I've ever seen end in .1. Um, 1.1, 0.1, 2.1. Um, but um, that got him to the login page, of course. And so we talked about a few of the settings. We didn't go in terribly deep, but the other thing I had him do was he he built half of an Ethernet cable. I I did show him the um, how I do the ends and uh, separated the wires, put the end on, crimped it, and then while I was doing that, I explained to him the wiring specification number and the order of the wires, and then I said, "Okay, here are the tools. Do the other end." I did stay and supervise, but um, my hope is that in the future I will be able to have him crimp ends, and I won't necessarily have to do that as much. But coming back around full circle to the home lab part, um, I'm sort of looking at this as if he is effectively building a home lab, um, separate from the network at my day job. We may eventually plug in the um, that consumer router to the main switch, so he can learn to do updates and different things of that nature. But we are going to sort of step through this and build out different components that he can use to learn from. So, um, my hope and desire is that through doing this, um, once we go a few more weeks, so maybe we'll get through December, but then in January, one of the things I want to sit down with him and do is we will rebuild his resume and um, include the projects that he's been working on, because he had zero tech experience listed on his resume when he applied, other than he had done some tech support for family members and maybe a few friends. So he's young, he's got to start somewhere, he's got the willingness to learn. There might be some, I don't know if it's ADHD or just um, something going on there that he's like foot on the floor 90 miles an hour all the time. And I'm trying different methods to get him to slow down and pay a little bit more attention to detail, right? But um, I'm hoping that um, in January we'll be able to take some of these projects, and I'm keeping notes as we go on what I'm having him do, so that I have something to refer back to, and um, we can realistically add these things to his resume. But um, the point I'm getting to in a long story like way is that um, you don't necessarily have to just see a home lab as a place to dump money that you may or may not really have to spend. You can make it worth your time, money, and effort going into it. Um, if you start with some sort of goal in mind, for instance, you may want to learn about storage. So, what are your options? Well, you've got network attached storage, you've got um, storage area networks, which are more an enterprise thing. But um, if you start with a network attached storage and you go through the process of, and this is just a long drawn on example, but if you go through the process of, okay, I've set up, for instance, Open Media Vault, which I tend to cover quite a bit on this channel, but you could do it with a Synology or a Ugreen or TerraMaster or a dozen other brands out there, depending on if you're building one or if you're buying one. But for instance, we'll use Open Media Vault as an example. You set up an Open Media Vault server, so you're learning both the administration part of that, which, if you look at it from a conceptual basis, and I know a lot of people have a disconnect on doing that these days. If you look at a conceptual basis, then once you learn the ideas behind setting up users, setting up shares, setting up permissions, things of that nature, it will translate to other network attached storage units, right? Much the way if you learned how to drive on a General Motors vehicle and then you buy a Honda, it may take you a few days to learn where the switches and different settings are, but you know that you drive with your hands at 10 and 2. You know that there are things called speed limits. You know a number of things. You put your headlights on before it's completely dark. There's this term called dusk, so you put your headlights on at dusk so people can see you coming. Especially like in the winter, if you're driving a white car, it's always nice to do that. Um, anyway, you've got the administration part of Open Media Vault, and then you've got the more end user access part of it. So, how do I connect to a share on a network attached storage from Windows, from Mac OS, from Linux? Um, can I use it with Proxmox in some way? Hint, the answer is yes. So, it's one of those things where you can establish these building blocks. You set up a router, you set up network attached storage, you have a couple clients or VMs to access your storage, and you can start going through these different labs, if you will, these different learning activities, hopefully documenting in some way along the way, um, whether in a Word document, something in Google Docs, in Notes Nook, which is my tool of choice for a lot of things these days. And no, this video is not sponsored by Notes Nook in any way, although they're actually one of the places that I would absolutely reach out to. to see about a some sort of a sponsored video. But you know, the okay, so I guess part of this is wanting to make sure people know and don't make this mistake that I've made, or one of the mistakes that I made for a long time, which I've in large part corrected now. But I got into doing home labbing, quote unquote, before that term reached sort of critical mass in IT circles, right? So, you know, going way back, I don't know, we're talking more than a decade now, decade and a half, anyways. You know, I had a network attached storage running on the network. I had been building cables. I had been, you know, using um, routers and switches that were not just consumer level equipment from a Best Buy or other big box brick and mortar store. Um, and, you know, not all of the stuff that I've done over the years has had a direct translation into things that I do at my day job, or even my previous 2 day jobs. However, what what I have been seeing more of lately is a few articles and a few videos that talk about experiences of people applying for jobs, and if a an IT manager or recruiter or um, somebody other than just a run of the mill HR person sees that you have a home lab, they have a tendency in several of the examples that I've seen, they have a tendency to sort of turn and ask questions about the home lab. What are you doing with it? What software are you running? What hardware are you running? You know, what have you learned? What have your experiences been based on doing that home lab? It's not just about degrees or certifications these days. Again, your mileage may vary depending on what job you're going after. Some places have pretty strict requirements for certain certifications, let's say. But there is a lot that you can demonstrate by having a home lab and having taken notes and translated that into projects or skill sets that you can include on your resume, right? So, um, if you can't tell, I've had home lab on my brain this week. Um, so it is very likely that my next course that I put up um, is going to be something to do with home labs, and I want to do it in a a different way than I approached the initial Linux course. Um, I want to do it more as a series of projects that I will go through and detail um, the steps I've taken, in the hopes that, you know, somebody watching the course can follow along and duplicate those things and maybe take it to the next level. Um, but I want to get this built in a fashion that allows me to say, okay, we're setting up a network and you know a router, a switch, and two clients, right? And then the next lesson, you know, the first lesson might stop with verifying that everything's working, doing speed tests between them, something like that, just to have a baseline, right? The next video or next lesson or set of lessons might um, take and go and add that network attached storage. And then how do we access that from the machines that we've got on this little network, right? And I want them to be um, semi standalone, but yet in a way built in a way that if you're a real beginner, then you can start at the start of the course and you can see the different things that are being done to get to those next levels. Hopefully, this makes some sense. It makes sense in my head, but you know, I've got a lot of head here, a lot of forehead. Um, so you know, it's just something I've really been thinking about. I've got some outlines started, and just I've been given more thought to this. Um, and I'm going to be picking up a couple pieces of equipment here. I've got to reach out to somebody. Hopefully, this weekend, I'll get in touch with them and get an order placed so that um, I've got a couple of pieces of equipment that, at least in the short term, I can dedicate to doing this next course. I also have the option of taking it to my day job so this young person that I am training can get hands on with some more enterprise level equipment because he's certainly nowhere near ready to be turned loose on the production equipment at this point in time. Not ready for it. So, anyways, let me get a drink and we'll look at comments. Just for the record, this is straight orange juice today. Largely because I don't know what I do with my water bottle, and I got to put my fingers back on that, and I don't have anything else in the house to drink. So, um, um, oh, so VirtualBox from Oracle does not want to work properly on my AMD. Not sure why. That's a good question. I've my machine at my day job is an AMD system, and it works fine on that. Um, could be a particular combination of hardware that you've got. I've not had any issues up to this point. Um, one that told you false things. Yes, I remember. Yep. Half a cable. I build you a complete cable. It takes me too long to be profitable for any employer. Well, so it, part of it was me showing him, and that's why I say he built half a cable because I built the other half. However, it did in fact work when we were done. So um, that was sort of the point of the exercise. Do not cross double lines. Yes, that would be bad. Hello, Alonzo. Happy holidays to you. 619 OTA. What are you doing on your home lab? Plex and R's. You're hired. Well, I didn't have a home lab, just a mini to install Fedora 41. Check if the USB is now working. Last time I tried, it did not. Nice. Is okay not to be the smartest person in the room during a job interview? Yes, absolutely. Water it down. Too much acid otherwise. Yeah, I don't often drink it straight, but okay, that is progress. Good deal. All right, so um, Black Friday sales. I wanted to mention this a little bit. I picked up a couple of things, um, and I've got an Amazon order that I've got to place after the stream is over. So what have I picked up? As far as things for me and or the channel type things. So Roberto Blake has a special going on his channel, and I don't think I can bring up the link because I did it on my laptop. So what Roberto Blake has today is, if I can find his well, maybe I can find it another way. Not that one. Try this one. Okay. So he had access to a set of resources for YouTube creators. Now, the one that I snatched up, and it was 30% off, which is the only reason I did it. And I'm not seeing the. Is this it? Yes. Create Awesome Media LLC. Had to figure out what the name of his company was. So, if I can find this, he had available a couple of packages. I got the one that it was basically a number of templates. I think there were some for thumbnails, there were some for other things. But what really piqued my interest was it was a toolkit, an overall toolkit for approaching sponsors to sponsor content on your channel. And so there was a list of a list of companies that do sponsorships, as well as sample emails that you could email templates that you could tailor to your channel and send out to the contact people at these different companies. And so without putting the cart ahead of the horse, one of my goals in 2025 is going to be to get at least one or two sponsorships during the course of the year. I'm not wanting to go whole hog on doing sponsored content left and right and center, but I would like to diversify to some extent the way I'm making money from my endeavors, making content, right? So one piece of that came this year. I launched a course. May not be the best course in the world. However, I was happy with myself for getting it to a point where I was satisfied releasing it. Now, um, would I like to take that course, reorganize it a little bit, and then, more or less double the length of the course? Yes, absolutely. Um, and in all honesty, if I could do it over again, I would probably have started a promotion at the beginning at the $39 price tag and incrementally raised it um, between the original release and the release or re-release or the big update that will come hopefully in first quarter of 2025. Um, so that's kind of one aspect of diversifying income streams. The second is to get some sponsors. Um, and I'm also wanting to start doing more collaboration videos. So, um, one person I want to bring back on because he was the very first person I did a collaboration video with is David from PE for Doers. And now that he's retired, I might have a little easier time scheduling that with him to to make it all work. But I think it would be an interesting video to do an interview with him after next year, after he's hit the first full year of being retired from his day job. Hopefully by then things will have sort of leveled out for him, and um, you know he will be in a position where he would be willing to do something like that. Maybe it'll happen sooner, but that's kind of my thought with it is what has the last year of your life looked like after retiring, type of thing. I'm sure I can get him talking. I have no doubts in my mind about that. Um, so yeah, the other thing, and last Saturday on the members only stream, um, if you were there, you saw me ingesting a number of screwdrivers and making a logo for my second channel, which has yet to launch, but I've got a logo, and um, I'm hoping that part of what I want to do the rest of this weekend is not only get a couple of videos recorded for this channel and go live on Sunday night, but also I want to get a couple more videos recorded for the second channel and uh, potentially launch that on Monday. I'm not going to guarantee it, but I'm hoping for a Monday launch. Um, gotta set up a couple things in another location in the building, but I'm hopeful to get on top of that and push things forward, right? So, let's see. Do, do, do. Let's see. Grish says, I'm learning Golang for 2025. Golang to make an API for Ansible results. Nice. Going to make an API for Ansible results. That I would be interested in seeing. One of my personal projects I want to get onto in 2025 is going back and relearning Ansible, because I haven't touched it for probably 2 years now. Um, so yeah, that should be fun, and maybe by the time I put myself through some exercises to relearn some of that, you'll have uh, part of your project ready, and I can help test it. My goal in 2025, complete the master's degree, then 2026, complete AWS and CCNA before I retire. Nice. Very nice. So, do you have plans in retirement, Alonzo? Are you going to do your own consulting thing on the side? Or you just have these personal goals for yourself that you want to do this? Maybe work is paying for the certifications. Might as well maximize it if that's the case. But yeah, that sounds like a great goal or set of goals. And um, I I learned a lot when I did my master's program. So um, and part of it was not even tech related. Part of it was just walking away from it with a different perspective on on the diversity of people and the diversity of their past experiences that led them to the point that we were all in classes together, right? Um, my master's program was completely online, and actually finished it about 12 and a half years ago now. So 2012 in April. Um, but we had older people, we had people younger than me, we had active duty military, we had people from quite a number of different states in the US, and I think a couple from outside the US. So it was interesting the different perspectives everybody brought to the table, especially when it came to doing group projects, which up until the time that I did my master's program, I had never been a fan of group projects, because usually I ended up pulling more than my fair share of the weight. Um, which, you know, by the time I completed my Bachelor of Science degree, I was pretty sick of um, dragging people along with me for the ride, right? So, it was a great experience, and um, as much as I have this wish in my head, in the back of my mind, that that master's degree would have led me to much better paying jobs than I've held since I finished it. Um, I don't regret doing it. Not only was I the first person in my family, at least my immediate family, um, to complete a master's program, but um, I was the first one in the family to do any sort of online program. I think I was even the first one to do online courses, period. But that was, what, 2001. And they were very, very crude at the time. um, that was when they were still experimenting with the hybrid approach, because the technology to do video, pre recorded video, was just not quite there yet. back in the age of Flash Player and all that other garbage that we had to deal with once upon a time. Um, anyways, I think uh, with all the developments I've seen since the end of my master's program, especially when it comes to things like um, WireGuard VPN based products. Um, so Tailscale and NetBird and others. Um, there are a lot more interesting projects that a person could do as part of a cohort of students learning things. For instance, using Tailscale or something similar. Again, NetBird. There are a number of others out there. Um, you could easily set up a network that spanned multiple states, excuse me, and allowed, other members of this group that you're working with to access resources on your network. Now, of course, you've got to take precautions, but um, there are definitely approaches to be able to do that in a safe way. But that technology was just not there when I was going through my programs, and it's just, I don't know. It's amazing. It's amazing for me to see all the changes. Because like the first computer I put my fingers on was in 1983, um, and just the huge leaps we made since then is nothing short of astounding to me. So, let's see. Work pays for certs and degree. Even better. Taking advantage before I retire. Don't blame you at all. Thinking about teaching part time when I retire or start a YouTube channel for fun. Well, when you're ready, if you want to come on as a guest and plug your channel, just reach out. I will absolutely make space for you and um, let you talk about your channel and get things moving that way if you'd like. I have a standard config Ansible Git repo that all my servers query every 10 minutes. If there are any changes, the server pulls and runs the playbook. Nice. The problem is I don't know if it ran successfully, so at the end I'm going to have have Ansible post to the API that it ran successfully. I can then monitor with another tool against the API. All right. That definitely sounds useful. Um, Best course mate ever was my active military in Switzerland. Paid for my lunch since I sent him his homework every week when he could not attend in person. That's awesome. That's awesome. Flash player. Oh yes. Um, yeah. I retired and sold my Dell servers. Home network gear is out of control. QNAP, Ugreen, Asus Store NAS. My Rui Ray gear is all SMB gear. Thinking about upgrading to all Wi-Fi 7 APs. Nice. Um, so Alonzo, I'm not sure if you were here. I think it was a live stream. It might have been in midweek news, but somewhere I had come across an article that had more or less quoted MediaTek, which does make Wi-Fi chipsets, and they were saying that Wi-Fi 8, I believe, is coming in 2028, but it's going to look much like Wi-Fi 7 as far as speed is concerned. It's more of a quality of life upgrade, is what they're talking about at this point, but that can all change before the standard gets ratified and they actually have physical gear on the market. So um yeah, it's very interesting times to be in tech. We'll just say that. um but yeah, it's um and it's funny because in many ways we've come full circle to the home computers of the 80s, in that many people are not using big tower cases anymore, but they're using smaller computers like Mac Minis and other PC based mini PCs, or Intel or AMD based mini PCs, I should say. But then you have the dreaded cable sprawl that existed with computers like the Commodore 64, which daisy chained a bunch of stuff, much like USB works today. Um, but like on my desk, I've got a USB hub and I've got a Thunderbolt hub coming off the Mac Mini, in order to power everything that I do here. But it's interesting when you can start to see patterns, and history repeating itself in slightly different ways. But it's definitely a fun time to be in tech. There are things that I dread about it. The whole Google monopoly, and potential breakup by the Department of Justice here in the U.S., having to sell off the Chrome browser, and stop providing money to, like Safari, Apple Safari, and Firefox, in order to have them make Google the default search engine. So um, we'll see how that pans out, especially with the new regime coming in January here in the U.S., which, from the international news I've been watching, there are a number of countries that are sort of dreading what is coming, but time will tell. We'll survive one way or the other. May not be pretty for a while, but that's about as close as I'm going to get to being political on the channel. It's interesting to look at American politics from an international perspective. Let's say that it definitely gives a different um, style of reporting, I guess. um, let's see. Have a mini PC for trying Linux distros. Not a good thing. Firefox might not survive that. Yeah, I I'm already feeling a little uneasy about Firefox's long-term viability, just based on the number of people they've been laying off this year. And if this whole thing with the DOJ goes through, um, I'm afraid that they would have to have some other changes in order to survive, if they could even survive. I have a few doubts. I, I don't know. I have a few doubts. I spent $700 for one Wi-Fi AP on my second floor, RAP 73 HD. No need to buy enterprise APs. Will purchase the SMB versions to complete my home network. Nice. It is terrifying as an international spectator. That's the general consensus I've been hearing. I just didn't want to say that and bring my perspective into it, but um, like I said, it's definitely a different set of perspectives that you get from watching international news than you get from watching news originating here in the States. Uh, but I have Intel Mini NUCs with i3s from 2019. Not using them anymore. Crazy. Yeah. Um, I've not been a fan of Firefox recently. Been on the Chromium bandwagon for a while via Brave. Firefox is cool, but I've noticed some performance issues with sites that use WebAssembly. Yeah. Um, I guess I've just been using Firefox for so long that I just have kept using it, right? It's been more than 20 years now. Um, and they've had their ups and their downs and their ups and their downs and their plateaus. um, but I've been keeping an eye on the Zen browser, which is based on Firefox but adds some things that um, the people doing Firefox have so far been unable or unwilling to add, and they have cleaned up the user interface a bit. So, what all they're doing under the hood yet, I'm not entirely sure, but um, yeah, yeah, I did Brave for a while, but I've got Real Chrome installed just for running StreamYard. I have a couple other tabs open in it if I do some reference during a stream that I don't need to show. But um, the unfortunate truth of the matter is that I was running um, StreamYard and Brave for a good long time, and then I started having issues, and those issues disappeared when I switched to official Chrome. I'm not sure why, but my my main browsing happens in Firefox to this day. um, use Firefox on my Linux VMs. Yep, yep, absolutely. Um, me too, since it was version 3.1. Yeah, I started when it was at version like 0.2. It was called Phoenix at the time. And then it was called Firebird. In both cases, some company or project got their knickers in a twist and issued a cease and desist order or something similar. And so they settled on Firefox, which is what it became at the 1.0 version, maybe 0.9, but I think I've been using it since 0.2, if I remember correctly. It's been a long time. It's been a long time. Since I am YouTube all day, Google does a lot of antitrust stuff to break Firefox users or reduce the overall experience. Yeah, I I try not to um, I try to avoid things that um, that are going to cause me problems. And I've got a couple of extensions running generally in Firefox that streamline things a little bit for me. I have also dabbled with changing the user agent. So in some instances, it will trick some of those mechanisms to thinking that you're actually running Chrome. But um, usually I continue to test things in Firefox and do a lot of my work in Firefox because um, I've just used it for a long time and I know it's cross platform. And um, maybe not as much anymore, but I know for a while there, Chrome was very Windows centric, and it took a while before the feature parity would trickle out to the other platforms. But hey, used WaterFox too. Yeah, I've used WaterFox on and off a little bit. Um, the hilarious part is that Google still sponsors Mozilla. Yep. We'll see how long that lasts with the whole Department of Justice thing. They seem to be waving the breakup flags and you can't give other browsers money to make you the default search engine. And I don't know. You'd think that when Microsoft got just a slap on the wrist for all the shady backroom deals they were making and getting away with through the 90s, that Google would be uh, no different. Um, so I find it funny that uh, there hasn't been more noise coming from the European Union about whether or not Google is a monopoly. So it'll be interesting to watch this play out over the next few years. I don't think anything is going to change tomorrow, but it's definitely worth keeping an eye on going forward. All right. Well, we've made it to an hour and 13 minutes. Does anybody have any final questions or comments? Hopefully, I didn't veer too far off in the weeds on the whole home lab thing, but I was trying not to, but was also trying to integrate more storytelling into this live stream. I keep seeing the experts recommending that. So I'm trying. I'm trying. Obviously, since I've got a face for radio, this was not anything that I've had any like real formal training on. So it's just been 10 years of the school of hard knocks, right? So, in any event, I do need to wrap this up here in a few minutes. I need to go get some groceries so that I've got food in the place to last me through next week. And at some point, I'm supposed to hear back from the family because my brother is up from Illinois. Since I did not go to Illinois this weekend, my father wants to get us all together for a meal somewhere. And of course, I've not heard anything back from him. So, um, yeah, we'll see what happens. Should be interesting. But thank you all for being here today. If you've not done so already, please take a moment to like the video. I can put up my dumb graphic again. Hey, look at that. And my head is actually behind it. um, so yeah, I guess a parting thought. I took a couple of screenshots from YouTube Studio. So interestingly, um, the majority of people seem to be finding my live streams from browse features and external, which is I don't know. And then for my videos, uh, almost 50% of the traffic comes from external, 28.2% from search, YouTube search, and then direct, suggested, and browse, all under 10%. But I thought that was kind of interesting. Just for the sake of argument, I am up to what is the magic number to this afternoon? 6,587 subscribers. So I've actually gone up a couple since this morning. Which I think is great. It's continuing to grow. I'm hoping to as we continue into December and the first quarter of 2025, I'm hoping to ramp up a few things. The first quarter of the year tends to be one of the better performing quarters for me. I'm not sure if that's true for other creators, but for me it is. And hopefully, hopefully I can give this thing a little extra kick in the pants and move some things forward. So, have a good one, Alonzo, Grish, Catherine, everybody else, anybody else that I missed. The few people that are out there in YouTube land and are not participating in chat, thank you for watching. And on that note, everybody have a great afternoon. And if I don't have anything out before, I'll be back live again Sunday night at 9 p.m. Have a great day, everybody.